All right, guys, welcome back to the AOC Malta Cyber Series Masters Tournament for League of Legends. I'm Alex Magical Voice, joined in for the last game of the night with the Ender L. How are you doing? We have had exciting games, and I'm excited for this last one.
Oh, I'm still doing fantastic, just like earlier in the day. Started off strong, kept going strong. That last game was really fun, actually. It was a 50-minute long game, really exciting stuff. Felt like it could honestly go either way, even though it came in with some clear favorites towards those later stages of the game. Definitely kept us on our toes, kept it fun and exciting, but this final match of the day is actually a really interesting game too, because it's kind of a friendly match. It's Raving Raptors versus Raving Raptors Academy, and my vote is to call Raving Raptors the Masters and call Academy the Apprentices. So that's just my vote for what we should call these teams during the cast.
Yeah, but will the student surpass the master?
That's the question.
Right now. And right now we are having the pick and bans coming out. And Zach Nunu most likely target bans at Vortex. Because, again, these sides are going to know each other very well. They play together. They're Raving Raptors and Raving Raptors Academy, Master Apprentice, blah, blah, blah. But it's going to be something they know each other well. They know who you're comfortable on, who's going to be the one they're strongest with, and probably who they're weakest with, as well as playing with and against.
Yeah, it's funny that, you look at these teams and yes, they're banning these because they know the other team plays them very, very well. But a lot of them are, falling under the same things that were picked in the prior game. Very strong champions that we saw. Even the Thresh doing phenomenally as sort of a peel/pick sort of champion, doing everything the team sort of needed him to do. The one pick that we've seen all day long that is still available and got first picked last game is that Poppy. So we'll see if Delrith wants to go for that or something else, because picks like the Kennen are still on the table.
We do see the Kennen still on the table, and I will say also that we have in the top lane. Oh, and look at that. Kennen first picked, actually. Making so Poppy doesn't necessarily want to be picked on the side. But if we look at Gruntless, he likes to play a lot more of that carry style role. He loves the Rumbles. He loves the Jace. He knows how to play the Poppy pretty well, but he likes more of that carry style top lane.
All right, looks like the team names are on the opposite sides, so we'll fix that for you guys real quick. Magic, just keep taking us through champs like while
not a problem.
Solve that.
Right now, we do have that hover on Janna, though. That's an interesting pick, and I kind of like that against the likes of a Kennen, to be honest, because you can Monsoon out the Kennen if he does try to engage, and it really is good disengage if you're trying to go for that kind of poke comp, maybe see that Jace in the top lane to really bully around the Kennen, because I know Gruntless can play that Jace fairly well, so I'd like to see that. And, Vortex, hovering that Olaf, that is usually his fallback when Zach has been picked. Picked or banned, and yes, he does lock in the Olaf, and that is going to be a Janna support. Really happy to see that, actually.
Yeah, I like that too. Janna hasn't seen a ton of play, but the Janna does very, very well into the Kennen, just knocks him away. Olaf, in the same regard, doesn't get rid of the Kennen, but he just ignores the Kennen. The damage still comes through, but he Ragnaroks on through, doesn't care about the stun. So already that Kennen first pick, while it's very, very strong by itself, getting countered away, and the Raving Raptors, the Masters, they know exactly what they need to do to really counteract that first pick Kennen.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see how these kind of play out right now. And I'm not going to lie, I would love to see... we have the side of Delrith and all them. They're the Academy, right?
Yes. Blue side is Raving Raptors Academy. Red side is Raving Raptors. We had that wrong to start it off.
I just wanted to make sure we had that right. But I would love to see a Jace picked away, because that would actually be something to kind of make it so that you can't have that counter in the top lane. But no, they decided to go for Donut Dominator Ziggs, who he's very dominant on. He loves playing that Mastery 7 on that champion. Very good plays on that. And Babino locks in the Morgana for Heathens. Heathens, when he doesn't get his Thresh, does usually fall back to that Morgana.
Yeah, someone was a little bit sad when he found out Baker Pantheon was happening, but Baker Ziggs wasn't. Donut Dominator, again, getting one of his signature champions, but a little bit peculiar that he's willing to lock that one in without knowing his lane opponent, just going straight on in across the board. Kennen being blind picked. The Morgana support, I guess, an answer to the Morgana, which is actually a nice pickup, I do believe. You throw the Black Shield on top of Kennen as he wants to go into those fights, and he ignores the Monsoon to kind of kick him out of there. But the response is going to be the Ahri into the Ziggs. This is a great matchup, a great pickup that can really bully away the Ziggs, and already Donut Dominator.
Oh, no. Going with the Twisted Fate. Actually, Mechanics does prefer Twisted Fate, has a better mastery score on that Twisted Fate, and actually I think knows what he's doing in this kind of matchup. He's looking for those roams, trying to counteract what Donut Dominator would do with the Mega Inferno Bombs, trying to be like, okay, if you want to make a play there, I can also make a play across the map as well.
Right, it's just the difference of one giant exploding bomb ability compared to actually having a member added to the fight, having another person in the fight. And Donut Dominator, you see him hovering that cleanse right now. He knows that he needs something to dodge away from the gold card and won't be able to take like a teleport, which has fallen away from mid laners. But to respond to a Twisted Fate may be a worthwhile investment.
Okay, I Savage just locked in Vayne. And that's what's got me kind of like a little lost for words.
That's actually, okay, Vayne, I want to take this away because Vayne is fantastic into Sivir. It's the premier Sivir counter pick, and you usually don't see Vayne pop up in the meta, get picked all that often, unless Sivir is grabbed on the other side. So getting a very lane, not necessarily a lane dominant champion in the Vayne, but against the Sivir, going to do very, very well, especially once that level 6 comes around for her.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I'm never a huge fan of Vayne in kind of competitive games, and that's just because I always see Vayne as more of that solo kind of role where you don't necessarily need the best. Ooh, going with the Gnar into the cannon. That's interesting. That's kind of countering yourself, to be honest. If you look at that, I would have preferred the Jace, but at the same time, what they might be going for is especially with the Vayne, they might be looking for that hard engage with the Mega Gnar, Gnaring her into the wall so she can't tumble away.
Yeah, the Gnar's the Jace definitely would have had a better time in the 1v1. Would have been very, very good into the Kennen, very dominant in the lane. The Gnar, yes. Kennen is a counter pick to Gnar. Kennen's going to love the laning phase, going to be able to bully out that Gnar. We've seen time and time again, especially in the competitive scene. But what you start to forget is that Gnar will still build tanky. Just like the Poppy, there is a time limit on how long the Kennen can win out. Once he gets something like a Spectre's Cowl, you know, maybe even go for a Hex Drinker to get an aggressive yet defensive item on the Gnar. Once he gets sort of those items, Kennen Delrith is not going to have nearly the same impact that he would have had, you know, earlier on in that game for the first 10-20 minutes.
Yeah, it's something that I think is just going to be interesting to see how team fights play out. Both teams kind of look like they want to more play around that, kind of like how you're saying. And it's going to be interesting at the early games how Fabino and Vortex kind of go around with the ganking patterns to try to help out each lane. Because Savage, he's going to need those early ganks. That's one thing about Vayne, is Vayne's very weak in the early game without some help. But like you said kind of earlier, being a great counterpick to the Sivir, is once you get to that level 6, that's when you can start tumbling around more, using the invisibility to kind of get yourself mobile and probably win fights against that Sivir.
Yeah, Vayne does usually need assistance in the early game, but look at what he's playing against. It's a Sivir Janna lane. That does not read aggression whatsoever. Yes, they'll likely have the shove advantage with the ricochet, the boomerang being thrown out there, but Janna very much about keeping the AD carries alive rather than putting out the punishment, putting out the harass onto a Vayne who will likely not be punished that hard for these, you know, first early levels.
Yeah. Well, I think that's going to be dependent, like I kind of mentioned earlier, on how Vortex kind of goes around with the ganking as well. And like you said, Sivir is going to push, that she just inherently pushes lanes. But at the same time, if you kind of see Big Hobbit able to stall out the lane for a little bit, and we see an early roam by Vortex, maybe level 3, going to the bot lane, and really try to hamper and hinder Savage Marksman on that Vayne, we could probably see the Vayne almost being useless.
Yeah, if you can get Savage behind early on, then you wait for the level 6 from Mechanics, take that Destiny Gate down to the bottom lane. That's when you start to run into some serious issues. Heathens, he's gonna have to be on point with his black shields. He needs to know what target to put it on. There's specific scenarios. One, if one of your members is going to get locked down by a gold card, you definitely need that. But come team fights, you definitely want that either on Delrith or Pabino, whoever's looking to dive into the back line first to start the fight off, whether it's a kick or a maelstrom to destroy the enemy back line.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's a good point. I do just briefly want to mention our sponsors who are helping out this tournament. IOC C Gaming being one of them, Go, Malta Tourism Authority, esportsgaming.bet, IEC Malta, Miney, GT Omega Racing, and the Gamers Lounge. They're helping out this tournament so that we can bring this to you guys. So do us a favor and help them out as well.
Yeah, definitely thanks to those guys. Now, as we jump into the load screen, we've got a quick little hype video to get you guys pumped up for the match at hand. We'll be back right after this. And rather than taking a break this time around, we're just going to jump straight on into the load screen. You guys can check out their keystones, look at that, see how these guys prepared for the match at hand. I'm excited. If this is anything as fun and high-paced action as the previous game, we are in for an absolute treat here. Raving Raptors Academy versus Raving Raptors.
Yeah, and it's going to be really interesting because both teams want team fights, but at the same time, one wants team fights a little later than the others. We see the side of Raving Raptors, just the regular ones. They're going to want more of that earlier aggression. They want more of the team fights to start right away. While you see Raving Raptors Academy, they have Vayne. So they're not necessarily going to want to fight as early as the others.
Right, you gotta... Oh boy, we gotta pause. You gotta wait. We've gotta wait as Pabino has left the game. That'll give me a chance to throw on the summoner names. That's one of the tragic things, is that the summoner names for me, for some reason, they just don't reset after the game. So I feel like I'm always having to go ahead and use that to fix it. But the nice thing about having a pause early in the game is you get to talk about what these teams, specifically the junglers, need to do throughout this early game. We're looking at Pabino and Vortex, who hopefully we'll be back in the game soon. But again, if you're one of these two teams, where are you looking for these ganks? Vortex, he's got this nice setup in the mid lane. Mechanics has the gold card. That's very good stuff. But also, Delrith, you have to expect he's going to be pushing up in that top lane as well. Maybe get Gary through this rougher early game.
Yeah, and that's definitely going to be something interesting. But yeah, at the same time, Vortex might want to go to the bot lane too to really, like I said, starve the Vayne if you want to get that ahead. But at the same time, we are loading up onto the Rift. We should introduce the teams. Ender, please do the honors.
Over on the blue side, for the final time of the day, for the final game of the day, rather, it's going to be the students, Raving Raptors Academy, with Delrith in the top lane, Pabino in the jungle, Donut Dominator at mid, Savage Marksman on AD carry, with Heathens down on support.
And on the red side, we have the Masters. We have Raving Raptors. In the top lane, we have Gruntless Gary bringing in that Gnar, Vortex on that, Olaf mid lane being Mechanics on that Twisted Fate, the bot lane duo being a Big Hobbit and Zookeeper Raka on Sivir and Janna.
Excited to see this matchup at hand, Magic. I mean, it's so fun, you know, just seeing teams play in general, but really when you get two teams that are closely wound, they've got the same organization, you know, running them, backing them. It's the Masters versus the Apprentices. It really is a fun matchup. We expect the main roster to win out, but there's always the chance that the Apprentice comes and overtakes, becomes the new Sith Lord, and wins out.
Now, well, are they the Sith Lords or the Jedis? Are they the good or the bad here? We have yet to see that really from
no. I've got this, because if we're going lore, okay, lore right here, right? The Sith, there can only be two. You know,
Oh,
there's the
yeah,
master
yeah,
and the
yeah.
apprentice. So then, once the apprentice beats the master, then the main team is gonna get dropped by Raving Raptors. Obviously, that's my
Okay.
back
I
knowledge
see.
going into this.
I get it now. Now I see where you're going on this one. So that means the Masters, they really have to prove themselves. They can't just play around too much with their friends. They must show that they are the dominant team.
Yeah, and they've always got some extra tricks on their sleeves. They didn't teach the academy everything they know, of course. Only a little bit, enough to make them confident enough to play here today.
What is it? I'll teach you 50 skills on how to kill someone, but I know 51. I will save that one for in case I have to use it on you.
Exactly. That's the way you gotta roll in such a cutthroat community. I mean, they're both in the same tournament, playing for the glory, playing for the prizes here. So neither team is going to, take this one easy. They need to win here. They want to, advance onto those playoffs in a couple weeks, which are so important to get to if you want to, make the big bucks.
Exactly. So I would love to see the academy usurp the power from their masters, but at the same time, it's going to be hard to see who gets that right now. It's still too early, just farming up from both sides right now, but we do see Pabino kind of making his way towards the mid lane, maybe looking to gank on Mechanics.
Yeah, this is kind of the opposite of what I said might happen, and here he goes to the gank.
Oh, here goes Pabino right now. Mechanics a little too far out. Doesn't actually blow anything on that one, though. He just brings out the cards and actually not afraid at all. Puts a little bit of damage back on with that blue card on to Donut Dominator. But really well played by Mechanics on that one.
Yeah, not too bad from either player. They all did what they needed to do. There wasn't really a world in which a kill was going to be possible there on to Mechanics. Just chunking him out, forcing him to use a potion, maybe get an advantage for Donut here in the mid lane, who really wants to get rolling on the Ziggs, because later in the game, if Mechanics ever makes a play across the map, Ziggs is just so good at shoving the waves and knocking down those turrets ever since the mid-season Mage update where he can execute turrets below 20% health.
Yeah, it's ridiculous to see that, especially when you pair that with something like a Tristana, which just can destroy towers so quickly, and you just see these waves and these lanes gone in an instant.
Right, and the one downside of Pabino's play in the middle lane is that Vortex was able to make it into his own jungle, but Pabino, he's trying for the top lane.
Yeah, Gruntless Gary with the... Oh, wow. Great sidesteps on both those abilities from right now. But we see Vortex in the bot lane. He does force the flash out of Marksman right there, trying to see if he can get anything. Puts a decent amount of damage on to Heathens. Forced to flash and heal as well, trying to get out of that one. And really good gank on the side of Vortex in that bot lane.
Yeah, really good stuff. He was able to line up his axe so it hit not only Savage, but also Heathens, making it so that the Black Shield was only going to save one, and he hit both, so was able to get a lot of summoners away from the Academy duo down there, just showing the calm, cool collectiveness of an experienced jungler right there. Pabino, he's tried 2 different ganks, both mid and top. Neither have really panned out. Didn't even get any summoners for them, let alone kills. Whereas Vortex, looking solid, makes a big play down bottom, trying to shut down that Vayne early.
Yeah, and that's what I said that I would really like to see happen, because if you get a Vayne down early in the game, she is absolutely useless. It's pretty much like a Twitch as well, who wants to get that early game advantage so he can snowball. If they don't get that, they don't stay even, or if they get behind, it's really not necessarily good for them. They have to wait until that 40-minute mark, and sometimes again, the game will end before then.
Right, Savage, not set too far out of this one, down about 7 CS, but it's early on this match. There's definitely some breathing room down there. Just has to really worry, because both of their flashes will be down by the time Mechanics gets that level 6. Will lock in with that Destiny Gate, and you better believe he's going to be looking for a play around the bottom lane. That's exactly what Vortex's plan was to do. He didn't even care about getting kills now, because he knows if Savage and Heathens ever shove up a little bit too far, they are prime targets for a Destiny Gate on in from Mechanics.
Exactly, and that's what I do love about whenever you see Ghost on a Twisted Fate, because then he can just pop Ghost, get into range for his Destiny Gate really fast, and be able to gank before you even know it.
That's the plan. Vortex, he's up in this top side now, and he's got nothing else to really gank away, but finally Delrith has stopped pushing at about the time Vortex would have looked for a gank, so nothing going to be able to be found up there. But he's got so much money in his pocket that Vortex really wants to recall, get that first item. Typically, we see the Lucidity Boots, and he goes ahead and locks those in just to reduce the cooldown of your Ghost, which is just so powerful as a ganking tool. You know, reduce that so you can, you know, go back even sooner. You burn the flash. Ghost already has a lower cooldown, but now you can return just, you know, 30-40 seconds sooner than usual.
Oh, yeah. I love what they did with Lucidity Boots, making it so that it reduces cooldown on those summoners, which before Lucidity Boots were useless. They were a troll build, but now it's very viable. You want to get it, especially on the Olafs, where you want to be able to ghost as many times as you can in a game. Try to get those ganks in with that Ragnarok. Just constantly mow down people, and that's what he's going to be able to do.
Right. Oh, Pabino's down bottom.
Ooh, right now we do see Big Hobbit gets hit right there, but here comes the Destiny Gate. They're looking for the counter gank right now. They get the gold card onto Pabino on that one, but here comes the Mega Inferno Bomb. They get the stun. They get Mechanics. He goes down. Now they're trying to see if they can turn it around. There's the flash being popped by Zookeeper Rocket, as well as the teleport coming in from Delver, trying to see if they can follow up. No, they can't, but they will secure themselves the first Infernal Drake.
Solid 4-man NATO to disengage right there, but what was the mistake that Mechanics made? He went down bottom and he used the gold card onto Pabino, who never lost his flash. He was not a victim of the gank down bottom, so he was able to flash on out of there, get out scot-free, and it ended up costing Mechanics his life, as well as that first Infernal Drake of the game.
Yeah, and props I have to say to Heathens, because he used the Black Shield on himself, which forced the gold card to have to be used on Pabino. It couldn't be used on himself because he wouldn't get the stun.
Right, that's the issue right there. Really clutch use of that Black Shield, and has bought this bottom lane an advantage down here. Not too much, you know, just the assist went on to Heathens, but just having the pressure around that bottom lane creates, you know, breathing room, gives them some room to move around and be a little bit more confident, knowing that Pabino got that first blood and has a significant advantage over Vortex. But here we go, they're in the jungle.
Right now, here comes Vortex. He pops the Ghost right there, trying to get in on the... He gets hit back by Pabino, who actually helps get Dominator that kill on that one. So actually, the overextension coming in from Vortex on that one, and it leads to a kill for the Academy on that one. And now we see Mechanics. He wants to try to get something, but those Dark Bindings have been landing well on him.
Complete overreach by Vortex. He had already lost the red buff, must have known that there were members of, you know, the Academy in the area, just ending up giving yet another kill over to these guys who absolutely need it. Really good stuff from them to try and find an advantage, but even then, they're still equal in gold. 2 kills up with that first blood. The CS difference in this bottom lane continuing to grow. Big Hobbit is kind of, you know, stomping all over this lane, crushing down that turret and getting a big CS advantage.
But at the same time, this is kind of what you expect coming in from a Sivir who can push the wave so easily, just trying to make sure that Savage has to farm under tower as much as possible. And just try to show the dominance while you can, because once you get to that late game, that's when Savage Marksman's really going to be able to start taking over.
Yeah, as soon as, you know, some of those outer turrets start falling down, you see the Vayne take on a sort of split push role. If it's a 1 versus 1 between a Vayne and a Sivir, the Vayne wins 100% of the time. So Big Hobbit definitely going to look to play much more around his team, and thankfully he has the Twisted Fate in the middle lane to try and counteract some sort of, you know, 1 versus 1 in the side. Not to mention that the Destiny can actually give eyes to that invisible Vayne. Here we go on the top.
Ooh, right now, Gruntless is being dove right now. Actually gets kicked away. Really good flash on his part right there to make it so the Dragon's Rage kick hit him the other way.
Yeah, a little bit late there on the kick from Pabino. A nice attempt nevertheless. Flash for flash between that top lane. But that leaves bot lane vulnerable.
Yeah, look at that. Here comes Mechanics. He actually gets hit into the wall right there and doesn't actually get to do much because the Black Shield hit perfectly, but they're going to try to dive Heathens right now. The flash being used. There's a Mega Inferno Bomb trying to get as much as it can, but here comes Vortex and here comes Dominator right now. We saw Heathens barely survive on that one. Ooh, look at the damage that Mechanics took just from one bomb.
Really poor play, I feel, from Mechanics. I expected more out of his, you know, sort of signature Twisted Fate here. Really enjoys the champion, But all he has to do there is hold on to his gold card. Don't use that until you see who gets buffed up by the black shield. Then use it on the opposite member of the Academy duo lane. He pulls the trigger too early and ends up losing a lot of pressure around mid for nothing on the bottom lane.
Man, I gotta say, really good play on Heathens as well, because he put the black shield onto Savage Marksman, who was the target of the gold card. And in the meantime, also, we saw, because of that black shield, Mechanics got pinned to the wall, got hit up there, and wasn't able to follow up with enough damage while the flash came out from Heathens just to keep himself alive.
I mean, to be fair, Mechanics also should have proven his mechanics and landed the wild cards on the target. He so simply stunned, I guess, but it just wasn't meant to be. I don't know, a little bit unfortunate there with the placement of his cursor, the placement of those cards. Now, Zookeeper Ruck, he might need to be careful, but he has friends behind.
Yeah, he has some backup right there. Actually, we see the Ragnarok being popped right now, trying to see if they can get anything on the Heathens. A lot of damage being put back right now. Here comes the dive. Actually, Heathens has been taken very low, but at the same time, Donut Dominator is roaming down to the bot lane. The tower went down, so we do see Raving Raptors Prime getting that first objective.
Yeah, just keeping that unrelenting pressure down on bottom lane. Big Hobbit was shoving that turret in for so long, knocks that down just shy of 13 minutes on the in-game clock. So even though they're down 2 kills, they get that tower and have a pretty sizable gold lead at this point in the game. Definitely going to be looking to fight over the next dragon, which is yet another Infernal. If the Academy get a second one, that is very scary, because everyone on their team is going to build some damage items at some point in this game.
That's when things are going to get really scary for Raving Raptors if they're not able to secure that. And actually, we see Vortex. He's working his way towards the top lane with Zookeeper Raka. But look at the bot lane. The Dragon's about to spawn. We see Pabino and also Heathens in the area right now, ready to kind of try to ward it up. And here it is. Vortex has shown up in the top lane. He gets stunned up by Delrith. They're still going for him. Exhaust has been used. They want to get this kill as badly as they can. He gets stunned up as well. Ghost being popped right now. And Delrith is trying to do what he can, but at the same time, it doesn't seem like it's enough. Ooh, what's that? Ton of damage. He is out right there. Zookeeper Rocco is trying to take the tower as best he can. Now look at the bot lane. We see that tower being pressured by Savage Pub and Heathens right now. They're going to get that tower. They're going to even up the gold. Actually, I'm probably taking a lead for a little bit. No, barely behind, but that should be an Infernal Drake.
Yeah, the Infernal Drake is the big prize here. In reality, it's going to be a turret trade, it seems, unless Big Hobbit leaves out on that top lane. Just really questionable decision-making from Raving Raptors, the main roster. Because not only do they put their duo lane in the top lane 30 seconds before this dragon spawns, they don't even get the kill onto Delrith. Vortex did not have the Ragnarok, so he was unable to cash in on that summonerless Kennen up there. Huge misplay from them, and double Infernals are definitely going to be a scary thing to look at come 30 minutes in this game.
Yeah, because usually one Infernal actually isn't that beneficial. People think it's a lot better than it is. It's the second one. That's when it really starts becoming that amazing and really starts swinging it into your favor even more than maybe the game was already going. Because 16% increased attack damage and AP is huge.
Yeah, and what do you think about a third Infernal Drake? Because that is coming in next for the spawn. The RNG definitely in the favor of the apprentices here as they're looking in a nice position to have a fighting chance in this game, even though they are going to lose their second tower of the game. Double Infernal, while they might be down in gold, the scaling is in their favor.
Yeah, and Delrith wanted to try to go in for that. We see Pabino coming into the top lane right now. There goes Zookeeper Rocket. She was caught in a bad spot right now. Actually, she goes down. Delrith picking up the kill. There's a teleport that was being pumped by Gruntless, but he decided to cancel it because it was too late for Zookeeper Rocket. Dragon's Rage, as well as the Shockwave, and then the Slicing Maelstrom picking up the kill.
The kill doesn't necessarily mean all that much for the Academy. Burning Gary's teleport does, because all of a sudden they had the possibility of turning top lane into a 5 versus 2 or a 5 versus 3 situation, but they recall Pabino and don't put the pressure down, just looking to keep Savage alive mid lane, clear away those waves where they may have been able to find some sort of an advantage.
Yeah, exactly. So it's, I don't know, it's a questionable play coming in from the main roster of Raving Raptors right now. That was an interesting teleport cast way too late at the same time. Now burned because they didn't actually get anything from it. It's going to be interesting to see how Raving Raptors main academy comes back into this game and really play it. While they do have the gold lead, even though it's slight gold lead, at the same time, their play and the mistakes they have been making lately aren't looking so hot.
Yeah, the interesting thing is that, you know, the academy, what they need to be doing, their main objective needs to be get a kill or, you know, get a fight advantage and then use that to find more advantages for yourself. Turn that into a turret, into an objective, into counter jungling or something of the like, because if you just get a kill and let it sit, you're not going to get a gold lead, and that is exactly what we're seeing here with them still down in economy.
Yeah. It's just such a weird choices coming in from the main roster that you really wouldn't expect. And I gotta say though, the objective control from the academy is still lacking, but at the same time, that is 2 Infernals on their side, maybe a third depending on how they play around this one when it does spawn in a few minutes. It's gonna really be dependent on that play though. For me.
Wow, Delrith just got the flash in the top lane, popped the Maelstrom. Would have had the kill had Gary not gotten out of there in time, but once again, Delrith has the teleport, Gary does not, so maybe if he'd held on to that, onto his Maelstrom, they could have really done something here, teleported him in to find a 5 versus 4, but as it stands, the main roster are looking in control of this game right now, just how they're playing the map.
Yeah, they were looking for the kill right there on Donut Dominator as well. They wanted to get him, they got him really low, used the Destiny Gate on that one, to try to see if they can pick up the kill, but now that also means Destiny is wasted as well. They wasted another really big objective controlling ultimate for nothing.
Right, definitely good to help get picks. Might have even been nice to use up in the top lane onto Delrith, who needs to get out of here. There's no turret to fall back to.
Yep. Right now, he's going to try to see what Gruntless is going to try to see what he can do. He is about to have Meganar come up. He is getting a lot of damage on him right now. Here comes Zookeeper Rocket trying to see if he can buff him up. They do pick up the kill. Gruntless Gary getting that, but here comes Pabino. He's going to try to see if he can get anything. There's the Gnar into the wall, trying to lock up Pabino. Dragon's Rage, and now Exhaust actually used onto Pabino. And Pabino is caught in a bad spot right now. He's trying to kite the best he can to Gruntless Gary, but he's taking a lot of damage. The wall hitting him up. This could be the end of him. Black Shield does come up. Here comes the heal. Savage Merchant trying to see if he can keep him alive. Monsoon trying to keep Gruntless alive, but he's going to go down most likely to Savage. There he goes. Maybe looking for a double kill on Savage, but here comes the rest of the main roster. They get Heathens on that one. Savage trying to see if he can get Big Hobbit. He does not. He goes down, and so does Pabino to the likes of Mechanics.
Such a tragic series of events for our academy. I mean, it's an ace when all is said and done. They were up 3 kills to none, and then they just get run down the board when Delrith does not have the Maelstrom, and Gary comes back into lane with the Frozen Mallet. That's game-changing. You're going to lose that 100% of the time, especially without
Delrith is going for something. He's trying to see if he can get anything. He looked for Big Hobbit. Big Hobbit was able to make it out of there barely by the skin of his teeth, and then he tried turning around on Vortex and on to Zookeeper Raka, but at the same time, he didn't. It was a 3v1, and he was afraid that he would get zoned out.
And the saddest thing about that whole series of events is that Raving Raptors, the main roster, didn't even have to burn their flashes on their big carries. Delrith thought he had a double or a triple kill just waiting to be picked up right there, but Big Hobbit just flashes away from the Maelstrom, gets out no problem. Really, really unfortunate stuff there, not being able to pick up even a slight victory on the back of what really did set them behind a wide margin. But they are the first ones to react to this Infernal Drake. Maybe they can sneak that away before the main roster figures out what's going on.
Yeah, if they're able to get that, that's a huge advantage. That's 3 Infernals going onto their side right there. And that'd be horrible for the main roster right now.
I think it's worth it to burst it down. Olaf just recalled. Vortex, what are you doing?
Yeah, that's it. They're going to get it right there. That's a 3rd Infernal going over to the side of the Academy. That's going to be a huge boost to them. While they did lose the last team fight, it could have been a miscommunication on their part, and they might have the advantage if they fight this one as a team now.
Well, the thing is that even though they're down right now, it's not that much gold, and they have the scaling advantage of 3 Infernal Drakes. They can just sit back, hold tight, and be confident in their ability to win out in the late game. Their team fight is very, very strong. Savage is going to be able to wreak havoc on the enemy backlines, and I have full faith that if Raving Raptors, the main roster, can't close this out early and show it to their apprentices, this could be rough for them come
Yeah.
30-35 minutes.
Yeah, and the thing is, I would have liked to have seen Savage Marksman kept down more, and he's not doing too bad for a Vayne into a Sivir in this early game, where that's the hardest part for the Vayne is you're going to get pushed out and lose a lot of CS because you're trying to farm under a tower. He's down about 30-ish farm, so that's not actually too terrible for a Vayne when you think about it. Not down that many kills, died one time only, and now 3 Infernal Drakes stacked on top of you. That's just going to melt people.
Right. I think it's a little unfortunate for the Academy. They'd love to have Savage split pushing in a side lane. Delrith really gets another flash. Interesting. But yeah. Savage would love to be in the side lane, but because the threat of a Twisted Fate Destiny Gate on your face is so viable, so threatening, he can't really do that. So all of a sudden, the two carries in Donut and Savage, they're both sharing minions, sharing golden experience in this middle lane, which definitely benefits the main roster.
Yeah, and that's it's gonna be interesting to see how they play this right now. And actually, look at Gruntless in the top lane. He knows that if he can get that Slicing Maelstrom out of Delrith, he can go crazy on him. He tries gnawing him into the wall, does not quite get the stun lined up to be able to get that. He does put a lot of damage back onto Delrith, but Delrith sees the Mega Gnar, it's about to run out. And now we see a dive in the mid lane. They're looking for Heathens. Vortex is trying to see what he can get. He goes down. The Monsoon was too late, but they do get the mid tower over for the main academy. Now they got Mechanics. They got the stun onto him. They're trying to get him. Dragon's Rage kicked him, hit him over the wall. That saved him, but now Savage is... Oh my god, Babino getting the kill on Mechanics. Savage getting the kill on Zookeeper Rocka. Now, Hobbit, you're alone. What are you going to do? This could be the end. Double kill going over the Savage Marksman.
There we go. That's the huge swing around we were talking about. The Academy able to turn it completely around in the 4 versus 4. They get big kills. And another thing we didn't talk about, yes, the Vayne is fantastic into the Sivir, but right there, Vortex is diving the turret. Vayne is able to kite away. The true damage is just way too much for him to deal with. And the Academy comes up huge, claims 2 turrets, and equalizes the gold.
Wow, quite crazy. Actually, they swing a little bit in their favor. The first time really in this game, even though they've been doing really well with the Dragon controls, getting objectives, but they finally have the gold lead in this game. Now, what can they do with this lead? Can they continue the snowball that they've been doing, or are they going to fall flat?
The thing is that they have to be afraid of the Twisted Fate, so split pushing isn't their main priority. Team fighting, however, is. You saw how well it worked in the 4 versus 4. Now if you throw Delrith on in there, the fights are going to look even better for you. He has the Flash, Maelstrom, even a teleport to position himself aggressively in enemy territory. It's just a matter of where do you put that pressure. Top lane turret, that's the last remaining outer tower. They'd like to go up there. But if not, the next objective likely going to either be this Baron or the next Dragon, which is an Ocean.
Yeah, I would honestly be surprised if we saw them try to position for that Dragon. Maybe kind of bait them into taking it, bait in the main roster to take that one, while they go sneak that Baron. That'd be a really smart play from them, where they're like, oh no, we lost an objective, but in reality, they're just gaining a better edge.
Yeah, and, you know, they've got the discount Mountain Drake, as I like to call it, the Infernal Drake. Basically, I mean, it does amp your damage to neutral objectives because it just gives you more damage in general, so they're definitely going to take that very quickly, but they're falling flat.
Oh, here comes the behind! Delrith is trying to get that flank in if he can right now, and let's see if the main roster is able to get out. Delrith wants something, actually just going to scare them off. They don't find anything, but they keep them off that mid tower that took a lot of damage from that push.
I don't know, the backline, Donut and Savage were both hovering around in that topside jungle, so the teleport seemingly wasted there from Delrith. That gives the main roster a ton of breathing room here. Raving Raptors definitely going to be happy that they got the TP away from Delrith. And now they're the ones who have the global advantage. They have a TP in the top lane from Gary, and Mechanics always has the Destiny Gate available. So Savage, if he goes down here to clear away these waves, he needs friends around. Heathens has to be shadowing his every move. Otherwise, he's very, very vulnerable here in a side lane.
Yeah, I think this is where you go for that 3-1-3 push. That you send Twisted Fate to the top or the bottom lane. You have 3 members. You have Big Hobbit, you have Zookeeper, and you have Vortex in that mid lane, and then you send Gruntless in one of the side lanes as well. Try to get this advantage now that you know Delrith does not have his TP, so you will be able to really push around, try to get these objectives, and really try to pressure and hurt the Academy if you can.
Yeah, 1-3-1 is definitely a viable strategy for them. The only thing they have to worry about is the hard engage from the Academy, and both these teams are positioned around this Dragon Academy. They're going to have to start it up very, very quickly. Otherwise, Gary's going to be able to get a couple waves shoving in the top lane. And Delrith, obviously, no TP to follow.
By the way, I totally misspoke. I said 3-1-3. I meant 1-3-1.
Oh, 1-3-1, yeah. I knew what you were talking about, Magic.
I didn't even realize that until just now. Like, wait a minute. There's not that many.
3-1-3 would be very effective,
Hey, you know, if you have a Yorick and you have a Mordekaiser, you can get the 3-1-3.
Here's the fight, though.
But here's the fight right now. Delrith trying to get in. Monsoon keeps him out right now. Vortex is taking a lot of damage. He goes down in that fight. There's the Dark Passage. Landing on the Big Hobbit. The heal being used, trying to keep him in place.
Oh.
On the Big Hobbit. Keeper Rook is the next target. Delrith picking up the double kill right now. Now Mechanics and Gruntless Gary are trying to get out of there if they can.
Is it safe to say the apprentice has become the master, the student has become the teacher? Because here we are watching Raving Raptors Academy defeating their main roster, a huge team fight, nail their 4th dragon of the game, and now they're on to the Baron uncontested.
Exactly. Really well done on their side right now. And I gotta say, they went for kind of a cheesy comp, picking that Vayne, picking that Ziggs, but at the same time, it is paying off in dividends. They're doing an insane job on that one, picking up objective after objective and winning these fights pretty handedly.
Yeah, you know, it looked a little sloppy from them. They lost a lot of turrets early on, but they have definitely been the first ones to react to these objectives. Even when the main roster, it looked like they were the ones in control around the time the 3rd Infernal Drake spawned. The Academy, they just bursted that one. They were the first ones to the pit and completely took that one from underneath the noses of the main roster. I mean, I have to point out once again how much damage this Vayne is doing in the fights. Vortex has virtually no armor built up yet. He's trying to get, you know, a frozen heart in here, but even then, Savage Marksman does so much true damage that he just cannot be stopped by an Olaf.
Exactly, and it's so heartbreaking too. Like I said, and like we both said, those 3 Infernal Drakes going over to the side of the Academy is just devastating. They gave up the first one, that's understandable, but when you give up the second and third without even trying to put up a fight against them, that's just almost, you're wondering where the macro play is coming in from the main roster.
Right, and, you know, we talked about how the Academy was behind in gold for a lot of the game. They're up only 3,000 now, but when you get the Baron buff, look how many turrets are still available. There's still 3 outside the base of the main roster. That's so much standing gold. What was 3,000 is now 4,000, and over the duration of this Baron buff, it's only going to skyrocket even more.
Yeah, exactly. So this is just going to continue to spiral out of control right now. Actually, you do see Mechanics being able to split push in the mid lane, get that tier 1 tower in the mid lane, trying to see what he can do. But look at this. Look at top lane. There's a tier 1 going down over to the side of the Academy right there. And they're continuing to push onto an inhibitor right now. Babino and Mechanics fighting it out in that mid lane. Ghost being popped. He's trying to see if he can hit Babino.
Oh, he got him.
Gets a solo kill on him right now. Is he going to stay or...
He should stay and shove in. There's no TP.
Yeah, there's no TP. He's backing, though. Ooh, I don't agree with that play necessarily. He got the great solo kill, but could have gotten more pressure on that one. Really punished the side of the Academy for not respecting the damage and the split push that he could do, but instead he backed.
I don't know. I feel like there's 2 decisions there from Mechanics. One, you stay mid and you call for your team to stop the backs. You try and open up those gates by shoving in mid. The second choice isn't to recall. That's not even on the table. The second choice is flank with your Destiny Gate. You have a 5 versus 4 if you so desire.
Yep.
That's your chance to get back in the game because they are losing right now, and it's only going to get worse because those Infernal Drakes, they continue to get stronger and stronger, become worth more and more gold as items continue to come into the pockets of the Academy.
Exactly, and I wonder if it's more they're just afraid that they're so far behind they're going to lose this fight, or if it was just they made the call like back and telling them to back and not listening about any other plans.
It's the big question now, and once again,
Ooh,
Raving Raptors
Mechanics
Academy.
Forced to flash out of that one, trying to see if they can get Delverth right now, who's overcommitted. He goes down, but they get a tower for it as well. Now here's the Destiny Gate. They're looking for more. They're going to see if they can't get anything. Ragnarok and Ghost Pop. They want to get Savage right now. Here's Mechanic trying to go in the back line, but Savage is zoning him away. Gets the kill on that one. Zookeeper Rock is going to go down as well. Ethan taken very low as well. They get Inferno Bomb, trying to see if he can pick off anyone as well. And the fight ends up going sour for the main roster right now. Savage, oh, that damage coming in from just one auto.
Mechanics may have been smart to be scared of fighting the 5 versus 4 earlier, because right there, the Academy turns it around in the face of their counterparts, their sister team in the main roster. Now up a member. They're the one shoving in onto this inhibitor turret. They've got the satchel underneath to execute that thing. No problem. This base is being ripped open.
The biggest problem is they need to burst out Savage. If they can burst him out, Mechanics wouldn't have had that problem there. The problem was that Savage was able to completely zone him out by himself without any support coming in from the main roster to, you know, give Mechanics a little bit of a helping hand on that one that he desperately needs against that Sivir, who can just 2 autos dead.
How do you shut down Savage, though? Because he has a QSS, he's got a black shield on him. There's no way you can get to this guy. I mean,
exactly.
Vortex is just getting kited into oblivion, even with his Ragnarok on, just because Savage has so much mobility, can dodge, tumble, and dash across the map, and still dish out tons of DPS in these fights.
Yeah, it's really ridiculous. Actually, I love the team comp, just with Heathens and Savage on that Vayne and Morgana, because like you said, it's just the kiting ability already from the mobility of the Vayne, and then you just put a black shield on her and make it so you can't even do anything to her. You can't lock her down, and you only have one true, well, you only have one AP source, one magic dealing source on your team coming from Mechanics.
Yeah, for the first time this game too, the main roster are the first ones on this dragon, but even then they might need to back away.
Yeah, they got to back away on this one. Look at this. You see the Goon Squad coming in right now, trying to see if they can get this dragon. There's going to be a smite fight going on right now. Vortex actually having to use the Ragnarok. They got it! Big Hobbit picking that up for them. But at the same time, it's just an Ocean Drake, not necessarily the biggest advantage that you can get.
Hey, it's a moral victory at least. Now Delrith in a whole world of trouble.
Yeah, they're trying to see if they can get Delrith right now. He did flash away. We saw Ghost pop by Mechanics. They get Delrith on that one, but at what cost? Look at mid lane right now. We see the pressure coming on the side of the Academy, seeing if they can't get this tower right now. Zookeeper's trying to do the best they can, but look at the damage being dropped right now. There it goes right now. Here comes Vortex trying to see if he can get anything, but look at the damage being returned onto him right there. Almost dropping right now. Now we see, Savage Marksman able to get the kill onto Mechanics on that one. He has a Quicksilver stash as well, so it doesn't matter if the Black Shield's not there. He's just going to go crazy right now. There's the triple kill going over to him. He's going to get this inhibitor easy right now. Are they going to try to get him more, though? Are they going to try to end the game at this moment? We do see Big Hobbit doing a great job at spell shielding that Dragon's Rage, but now look at this. Gruntless Gary trying to get in there. He goes down, though, and now we see Dominator kind of stuck in the towers, forced to flash out of that one, but at the same time, it's 1 versus 4 right now. The Academy are looking to end.
Please, Savage right now is 1 versus 5, carrying this game, and Hobbit goes down. That's going to be the game. Raving Raptors Academy, they come out on top.
Wow, the students have become the masters. Beautiful game coming out of them at all stages. I am glad to see that they were able to pick up this win.
Wow, just incredible stuff. They looked a little shaky towards the start. Yes, they were getting all the dragons, but individually in the lanes, falling behind. Savage Marksman actually got punished pretty early on. Lost his turret, was down quite a bit in CS, but coming in for these team fights, the Academy just completely showing up. Yeah,
and I think a lot of it has to do with, actually, you know, it might sound surprising, but I have to say a lot of the roams from Donut Dominator that kind of stopped a lot of the pressure that went down in the bot lane, that made it so Savage didn't get that far behind in the early game. It didn't let him get shut down because Donut was smart to roam wherever you saw Mechanics go. You're just like, I'm going to put the Mega Inferno Bomb down so that if you try to go bot, I'm at least going to be helping out.
Yeah, that as well as Heathen's Black Shields, which were absolutely on point to basically negate the threat, the global presence of mechanics. Really just solid play from the Morgana, solid play from the entire team. But the highlight reel was definitely on the Vayne, which you questioned, I believed in, and I rest my case. It is fantastic in this game.
You did, and I always question it in competitive play because a lot of times you do end up seeing it fall flat on its face. But I have to say, not really just the Vayne pick, but it was the Morgana pick with it. That was really what made it key. Without that pick on top of it, I don't think it would have been as successful. And I think that combination was absolutely beautiful. Great job, Savage Marksman and Heathens.
Yeah, well, once again, that was our final match of the day. Raving Raptors Academy taking out their main roster, Raving Raptors, in a pretty decisive victory. I am Ender L, and joining me today was Magical Voice. We had a great time, and hope you did as well. Once again, thanks out to all of our sponsors. I'm not going to go through them again, but a lot of appreciation from us here for them. Come back next week for some more AOC Cyber Series Masters action. We'll be here, and we hope you are too. Thanks for coming in, and good night.
Good night, everybody.